It all began on an ordinary Tuesday evening. Emma, a young graphic designer living in a small apartment in Chicago, was wrapping up her work. The sun had set hours ago, and her living room was bathed in the dim, golden glow of a single desk lamp. She stretched, glanced at her watch, and realized it was nearly midnight. As she stood up to make herself a cup of tea, something caught her eye, a flicker in the corner of her vision. She turned to look at the window, expecting to see the silhouette of a bird or a branch swaying in the wind. But what she saw froze her in place. A shadow, human-shaped, motionless. It stood outside her window on the fire escape, completely still, blending unnaturally with the darkness. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor, and there was no way anyone could be standing there without her hearing them climb up. She blinked, and in that instant, the shadow was gone. "Just tired," she muttered to herself, trying to shake off the chill that crawled up her spine. But deep down, she wasn't convinced. The next day, Emma tried to forget about it. She chalked it up to a trick of the light or her overactive imagination. But as the days went on, the shadow began to appear more often. At first, it stayed outside, on the fire escape, across the street, or in the hallway just beyond her door. Always still, always watching. She never saw a face, never heard a sound. Just the shadow, dark and indistinct, yet undeniably human. One night, as she was brushing her teeth, she caught sight of it again, this time in the mirror behind her. It wasn't outside anymore. It was in her apartment. Emma spun around, her heart pounding, but the bathroom was empty. Yet the cold, heavy feeling of being watched lingered in the air. She locked every door, every window, and left every light on. But no matter what she did, she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. The shadow started to follow her everywhere. In the reflection of a shop window as she walked to work, in the corner of her living room as she watched TV, even in the periphery of her vision during meetings at the office. It wasn't just watching anymore, it was getting closer. One night, Emma woke up to the sensation of someone standing over her. She opened her eyes, and there it was, towering over her bed, a solid, inky black figure. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. It leaned closer, and she could feel a suffocating cold radiating from it. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it was gone. Emma began to unravel. She stopped sleeping, barely ate, and avoided going home. But no matter where she went, the shadow was there, always in the corner of her eye. Desperate, she turned to the internet, searching for answers. She stumbled upon forums filled with similar stories, people who had seen the shadow. They called it the Watcher. According to the posts, it didn't just watch. Eventually, it took something. Emma didn't want to find out what that meant. One night, she packed a bag and decided to leave town. She didn't care where she went, as long as she got away from the shadow. But as she stepped out of her apartment and into the street, she froze. Everywhere she looked, there were shadows. On the sidewalks, in the windows, under the streetlights, all of them were still. All of them were watching. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was a sea of shadows closing in on her, their eyes, if they even had them, boring into her soul. Emma was never seen again. But sometimes, late at night, if you're alone and the room grows unnaturally cold, you might catch a glimpse of her, a shadow in the corner of your vision, watching you.